If you are not satisfied with a decision made by the Traffic and Parking Commission, you may appeal this decision for a filing for a writ of certiorari with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the entry of the Commission decision. We advise that you seek your own independent legal advice to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met. Asking for an approval of the agenda as proposed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the minutes of the meeting of December 12, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is passed. Approval of the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda will be voted on at a single time. No individual public hearing will be held, nor will the commission debate these items unless a member of the audience or a commission requests that the item be removed from the consent agenda. Consent agenda, Resolution 01-16. Proposal number 2016-001AB-001, a request to abandon and quit claim any interest that Metro has in the portion of Gaylord Drive within the area that the state of Tennessee has approved as surplus property. This has been requested by Metro Public Works applicant.
Excuse me, Vice Chair, do you mind if I ask a quick question related to that? That, as I understand, staff has been coordinating this, or they understand what is happening with the greenway along there, and this is not in any conflict with that, correct?
Correct. I'm glad you asked that earlier. I did have to do some homework, and the greenway has been taken care of. All the easements have been retained for it.
Okay, I just want to make that clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baver. Proposal number 2016-M-002AB-001, a request to abandon a 2,643 square foot portion of Korean Veterans Boulevard, former Franklin Street, right-of-way between 4th Avenue South and alley number 68 behind the existing sidewalk adjacent to parcel 338 on map 93-10. Easements and utilities to be maintained. This is requested by the Nashville Symphony Association, applicant and owner. Resolution 01-16, authorized stop sign on Electric Avenue at Village Court. B, authorized stop sign at Fulton Street at Village Court. C, authorized no trucks over 8 ton on Ned Shelton Road from Bell Road to Smith Springs Road. That is the consent agenda. Does anyone have a request to pull any items from the consent agenda? I make a motion. Will someone make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the
Second.
All right, we'll have a hand vote on the consent agenda. All in favor? The consent agenda has passed. All right. I think you had a presentation you were going to make at this time. Is that right, Chip?
Yeah, we were originally going to do a 5-minute presentation on stop signs, always stops, and the warrants we look for when we get a request for a stop sign. And we're going to do a little shift-a-rooski on you and do a signal timing presentation. And even it's going to be short and brief because the person that was going to do our presentation on stop signs went to the TRB up in Washington, D.C. this week. So anyway, you may have been reading in the paper or seen it on the news that Public Works has a signal timing project on the streets right now. It's the largest one we've ever done. It's in conjunction with the mayor's office, and what we're doing is retiming 560 traffic signals this calendar year. That's a big deal for us, primarily because to do such a thing, you've got to go get your data. and then you model it. The modeling, you can have all the computers you want and all the engineers you want working on the modeling, but the actual collection of data takes time. It's weather dependent, and it's school and seasonal dependent as far as your volumes go. We all can tell when school is in and out. So Kristen's the project manager of it. She has a little more detail on the intersections themselves, but you can see here in front of you we've got 560 intersections we're going to do. The data collection is going to be burdensome. That's going to be the bulk of the work, where you'll see people either manually counting vehicles, or there'll be tubes on the road. We're counting pedestrians. We're trying to improve our pedestrian crossings. As far as timings go, you're walking, you're flashing, don't walk. We'll have peak and off-peak timing plans as well as weekend. And then there'll be some areas where you'll have special circumstances, like in the downtown area, where there's so many special events. You can't just do a rush hour timing plan in the morning and get your predators volume. So with that, Kristen, you can expand on it.
Well, first of all, if you haven't seen the inside of a cabinet, this is the inside of a cabinet. So that's the brains of what we're doing. And the gray box in there that's got a sticky note on it, that's the controller. So what we're doing is we are getting a consultant on board to help us out with this, and they'll do the data collection, and they'll run it through the modeling, and then they'll give us timings. And so we go in and we put the timings in that controller, and that's what runs the signal. Okay. So just to give you a little background. So a concurrent project that we're doing in-house is we're upgrading a lot of our controllers. So the one on the right, the gray box, those are the old ones that are basically they're failing, so we're having to replace them. And so the blue ones are the newest and latest generation that we're replacing. So that's ongoing with this signal timing project. So we're putting new timings and a new controller in a lot of these intersections. So if you'll go on to the next slide. So here's our list of intersections, the 560 that we're trying to do this year. So there's 19 corridors, and some of these have been done before. I think some of our last signal timing projects were 2008, 2009, and a couple in 2011. There's a couple that I don't think have had a true study done before. We've done some, in-house things, but none that have had a true study, like KVB and Shelby. I don't think that one's truly been studied before. So that's our plan, and that's what we're working for this year.
Question. Is there data collection at a lot of these intersections in place, or is that going to be a new part?
A little of both. This isn't our first go-around with some of these, as she was saying, so we've got some data. Now, if that data is dated, then we want to recount it. But we have the ability to, our consultant here that does some of our data collection is in the audience, but we have some data that we can use to trim off some of the calendar time. But most of these we will have to count all over again.
A lot of them do video collection now, so they'll put a video up at some of these intersections, and so there won't really be a person out there all day doing these turning movement counts. They'll bring the video back in and count it in their office. So that's helpful too on getting a bulk like this done.
So this not only will retime the signals, like she was saying, the new controllers will give us the ability to have bus rapid transit if we ever want it on certain corridors. These newer model controllers, they just can do more than the old ones. And they, like she was saying, the old ones were failing, the parts were becoming hard to get. So when it comes to pedestrian timings and pedestrian scrambles and bus rapid transit and even emergency preemption, we now have the equipment that will be in place to do all that. The next step will be the retiming project, and then maybe bus rapid transit or any of those other projects that we have going on.
If you'll go back to the list of intersections, if you look through it, you'll notice that Murfreesboro Road is not on there, neither is Old Hickory Boulevard and Brentwood. And that's because those are two separate projects that are already undergoing their own separate timing projects. And the Murfreesboro Road one is in conjunction with MTA, which that'll be the central software that'll go into these controllers, and that's kind of driving that one too.
What's the number?
When I made this slide about 10 minutes ago, The number ran across and made me have too many lines on my slide. I think it's 28. Does that sound about right?
That's 26.
26.
26 signals.
Nashville, it's kind of hard for me to get my head around. How are you all going to do that with so many traffic signals? Is that film or?
Well, our main weapon is going to be a consultant we're negotiating with right now. And they're going to put together a team that's going to collect this data, and they're going to do all the modeling. Our role, which is also pretty burdensome, is when they hand us all these timings, we've got to get them in the field. And we're going to have some electronic means of doing that, but it's still, we've got to check their calculations. We've got to go through a quality control. But that's a very good question. We're all asking ourselves that. We're going to do it. It'll get done, but it's going to take some manpower, and that's why we're relying on our new consultant when they get on board.
I would think it would be seasonal, sometimes too.
Very seasonal. I mean, count cars out in Green Hills about 2 weeks ago, you'd have had some pretty good numbers.
Sure.
But yeah, school traffic has a lot to do with it too. And our timing plans, you got your regular 7 to 9 a.m. and 3 to 6 p.m. We can all predict that. But you got school traffic that gets out at 2:30. Or you'll have, like I said, a Predators game or a Taylor Swift concert. It's very dynamic science that we're trying to work with.
Interesting.
How does the implementation process work? As you work on a certain area, say if you were to prioritize one or the other and get the data in, do you go ahead and start making adjustments and changes, or do you wait until all the information's back in?
As soon as we get the data in and it goes through our little checklist, we're putting it out.
Okay.
And then we'll do some travel time studies, and we'll get some phone calls. Hopefully they'll be complimentary, but we'll expect some negative ones too. Your side streets will have some delay. Whenever you're trying to time a main line, you're going to have delay on your side streets because it's hard to get that green band going down your main arterial. But to answer your question, as soon as the data comes in for one, we're implementing it, and it's just going to be like a production assembly line.
Okay, great.
All right, Chip, that was very interesting,
Thank
because
you.
I've been reading about this in the paper.
It's a dynamic science, and sometimes you're trying to squeeze 10 pounds of taters in a 5-pound sack, and you just can't do it. But you get as many as you can through there.
All right. Does anybody else have any comments or questions? Before we adjourn, one of the things I'd like to do is, there was a longtime member of this commission, Mr. Richard Marin, who passed away, I think suddenly last month, and would like to extend to his family and his wife, Cynthia, our condolences. He loved being on the Traffic Commission, and if you read about his history, he was very involved in the city of Nashville and trying to make Nashville a better place. So he will be missed. I considered him a friend, a person I got to know through this commission, and became a friend. So it is unfortunate. So
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your service, Mr. Moran. He was also a Metro employee for a while, you know that.
Yes.
And he served this commission very well.
Yes. All right. Well, officer,
There being no further business, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
it has passed. Thank you all, one and all. Happy New Year.
And we have this to sign for being here.